Deputy Colt Allery was shot and killed in the line of duty Wednesday night. Tonight, residents in Rolla joined law enforcement in song and prayer in remembering the fallen hero. Joe Skrzyszewski takes us there.
The sound of 100 police sirens took over the main drag through Rolla as the body of Deputy Colt Allery returned from Grand Forks. Later, amid the backdrop of a flag at half-mast, the Rolla community and law enforcement gathered together at Rolla City Hall for a candlelight vigil.
I'm here to pay my respects to a fine officer who gave his life in the line of duty and upstanding citizen.
The community honored Deputy Allery through song and traditional Native American chants and drums. Some mourners even made T-shirts commemorating this fallen hero.
We have such a small community, and everyone's kind of tight-knit together. Everyone knows everybody, and it's such a small community that one thing happens, everybody gets involved.
Friends and neighbors coming together as one community to remember a life.
We ask you, Lord, to allow this to be a moment of grace for all of us to realize just how fragile we are.
The mourners then walked across Rolla to the public school with the help of a police escort. In Rolla, for NBC North Dakota News, I'm Joe Skrzyszewski.
A small North Dakota community continues to mourn the loss of a fallen hero.
I had the opportunity to speak with the family of Deputy Colt Allery, who was killed in the line of duty this week, on how his death has rattled their family and the community. Colt Allery's life came to an abrupt end just south of Rolla, but he spent much of his upbringing 20 minutes away in the town of St. John. The day after Allery's passing, family members gathered in St. John in the home he grew up in, with the grandparents who raised him. Allery's mother died when he was young, though the St. John community became a family in and of itself.
Small town community, everybody knows everyone, and if you don't know them, you will know them. That's just how it is here.
Allery's brother, Sean Hall, said he spoke often with his brother, and they went fishing and hunting together. They were even planning a trip next month. Then the news.
And I got a phone call from my wife telling me, officer down, and it was possibly my brother. So we got on the road as soon as possible.
Hall said what happened to his brother does not reflect the North Dakota he knows and loves.
It's still unreal that it happened. This is North Dakota. We have values here, and it's a community. Everybody respects everybody.
Allery had spent the last 5 years of his life working his way up the chain of law enforcement, starting as a corrections officer before ending up as a sheriff's deputy. When we asked Hall if society appreciates the sacrifices of police,
I believe they're appreciated enough, but I believe they're being painted in a bad light, and it's forcing things like this to happen to people.
If you could say something, Colt, what would you say?
Call me. Call. I didn't get his call. He was supposed to call me this week. We're supposed to make our plans. And I just wish he can call me, because then I can talk to him more.
Wish you could hear his voice again?
Yes.
Hall said his brother leaves behind a fiancé and 4 children. The governor has directed all government agencies across the state to fly the United States and North Dakota flags at half-staff from sunrise to sunset on Tuesday, January 24th, in honor of Allery. Now, meanwhile, a North Dakotan who headed to Washington, D.C. for today's inauguration made a point of honoring Deputy Allery at the National Police Officers Memorial. With the help of Representative Kevin Kramer, Nolan Canwright placed a note on the National Memorial under an inscription at the memorial that reads, "In valor, there is hope." A mixture of emotions here today at the Belcourt at the Turtle Mountain Community College. Obviously, sadness and tears shed for this fallen officer who lost his life so bravely in the line of duty, but also it's a celebration not only of his life, but of the sacrifices that law enforcement officers make every day. Now, Deputy Allery's body arrived at the college yesterday afternoon with a full police escort. And I have to tell you, Mark, the sheer number of police officers that arrived at this college is just impressive. It's not only police officers from all across the state of North Dakota, but yesterday I had the privilege of speaking with some police from New York City and Chicago,
that traveled all the way from their cities to rural North Dakota just to pay tribute to Deputy Allery. In fact, there's a law enforcement agency based out of Oklahoma that has traveled here to Rolette County, and they're actually being cross-deputized, and they're filling in as police so that the authorities here in Rolette County can mourn appropriately and give their tributes to Deputy Allery. Now, of course, we're going to have live coverage of Deputy Allery's funeral service in less than an hour. Mark?
In our eyes, Colt was taken from this earth way too soon. Colt's career was short, and this is not how your career is supposed to end. This is not typical. This is actually horrible and unimaginable.
Good evening, everyone. It was a day of tears, hugs, prayer, pomp, and circumstance today in Belcourt.
Thousands of law enforcement officers joined the family of Deputy Colt Allery in bidding farewell.
Tonight, we take you into the ceremony and those who paid homage to this fallen hero in their words.
I rolled up on the scene after it had taken place. I had a deputy come to me and say, he didn't make it. I stand here to tell you today, and I can tell you, Colt Eugene Allery did make it. He is in God's house watching over us. Colt was a kind soul. He had a warm heart, and he was a hard worker when it came to law enforcement.
He was happy to do it. A cheerful, smiling warrior, a cheerful presence in a profession that too often puts our officers in direct contact with the darker side of humanity. But simply put, Colt answered the call.
My brothers and sisters in law enforcement, God has called you by name to a heroic service to your neighbor.
As I stand here in this room and I see law enforcement, fire rescue, EMS, I am here to tell you we are all part of a family. Colt Allery will always be part of our family.
Deputy Allery. We don't walk from here.
Early numbers indicate that roughly 2,000 people attended Deputy Allery's funeral service today, 1,200 of them being law enforcement officers. Cass County Detective Joseph Gress organized today's service in all of a couple days.
Gress thanked all of the law enforcement officers who headed to North Dakota to honor Deputy Allery and said everyone who wears the uniform and the badge is making a sacrifice.
To do a job like this, you have to be prepared to give that ultimate sacrifice, and to put on the badge today is even more special for me because we're coming together, we're putting on the dress uniforms, we're making sure the boots are polished, we're coming here to honor someone who gave the ultimate sacrifice.